Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Margot Pino. I work in DG Energy, session dedicated to Destination 4 of Horizon Europe Cluster 5 that will be focusing on efficient and sustainable energy use. Today with me, there is a number of colleagues that I will introduce in a moment. First, I would like to give you the general organization of this session. So this session will last 2 hours and will develop as follows. The first 20 minutes will be dedicated to the presentation of the general policy context and the positioning of this Destination 4 in Cluster 5, as well as the specific policy context of the thematic areas on buildings and industry, which are addressed in Destination 4. And this part will be jointly presented by me and my colleague from DG Ener, Eric Lecomte, who works as policy officer in the Unit B5, Innovation, Research, Digitalization and Competitiveness. Eric is responsible for developing the thematic area on industry of Destination 4, while I'm coordinating the development of the area on buildings. After the context presentation, you will watch the videos with the presentations of the topics included in the work program 2021-2022 under Destination 4. This part of the session should last around 45 minutes. And the videos were pre-recorded by colleagues from CINEA C2, who will be the responsible unit for the topics implementation and the management of the selected projects from these topics. Finally, we will dedicate 1 hour to answer your questions that you can send using Slido application. So I hope that you will be able to see the Slido link indeed. Please let me just stress that you need to select the specific session of Destination 4 and ask your questions in relation to our session under this Destination 4 specific session. So here I would like to take the opportunity and to introduce you colleagues who are a part of the co-creation group and who co-developed the topics that are under Destination 4. And who will be also answering the questions from their specific expertise area in the Q&A. So I will be giving the floor to these colleagues. So from DG Research, Unit C1, Clean Energy Transition, we will have with us Olga Rio and Piero De Bonis, who will answer the questions on innovation, clean energy technologies, as well as more general questions on research and innovation, Horizon Europe program, goals and topics. From DG Grow, we have with us Philip Nosley from Unit H1 on construction, who will address the questions related to construction sector industry, as well as digitalization in construction and buildings. Then from DG Environment, Unit B1, Sustainable Production, Products and Consumption, we have with us Josefina Lindblom. Josefina will answer the questions on environmental aspects of buildings transition to sustainability, circular economy, life cycle analysis, life cycle perspective. Then we have with us the colleague from DG Employment, Inmaculada Plasencia Porrero from Unit D3. That is dedicated to disability and inclusion, and these are the questions that she will answer in relation to buildings accessibility to persons with disabilities and social inclusion in relation to buildings. And then we have with us a colleague from DG EAC, Unit D2, Creative Europe, Hugo Beckhardt, and he will answer the questions related to cultural heritage and architecture. Myself, working in DG Ener, I will focus on the questions related to energy efficiency, because this is my area of work on buildings. And in relation to all the topics on industry, the question will be answered by Eric Lecomte, who I introduced already, and who will also give you the policy background on industry, sustainability transition, and energy efficiency in industry of the Destination 4. So for the Slido moderation, I will be helped by my colleague Piero De Bonis and my colleague Pau Rey Garcia. Pau, who I didn't introduce yet, work in CINEA-C2, and he belongs to this implementation team of Destination 4. And I also wanted to mention a colleague who very much helped us with the organization, but unfortunately, due to some technical issues, cannot join today. Sylvain Robert, who is also part of the implementation team of CINEA-C2, and who is behind the organization of this session. So now, without further ado, I propose to move to the presentation, wishing you an interesting session, and I'm happy to take all the questions after the session. So maybe if we could move to the next slide, please. This one, thank you. The European Green Deal is the main priority of the current Commission, together with the Green Recovery. And it is more than a plan or a strategy. It's a new growth and recovery strategy for Europe that aims to transform our continent towards climate neutrality by 2050. With a modern, sustainable, resource-efficient and competitive economy. The next slide, please. Within this context, the Commission, the European Union has agreed on a climate law, which rendered this commitment towards climate neutrality by 2050 a legally binding obligation. So we have now the law that introduced the climate target for 2050, and consequently also the Union's greenhouse gas emissions targets, reduction targets, has been increased, and the one for 2030 we are now aiming to achieve at least 55% of greenhouse gas emission reduction comparing to 1990 levels. The next slide, please. Consequently, this substantial increase needs to be translated in the increase of ambition that will trigger by the revision of the policy and legislation, which is happening now. The Commission is working on the legislative revisions. Legislation on climate and energy is being revised in 2021 and will be part of the Fit for 55 package, of which the first batch is planned now in July to be adopted. Part of this package is also the revision of the directives on energy efficiency, energy performance of buildings, and I will stop on those a little bit farther and longer because they are quite important for the specific policy context of the session of today. Maybe the next slide, please. I would like to highlight that energy efficiency is a key driver of the necessary efforts that are needed to be made to achieve 55% target of emissions reduction in 2030. And that's why energy efficiency needs to be prioritized across all the sectors, and especially more energy efficient end use in buildings and industry is our core part of the decarbonization scenario. The Commission is revising now the Energy Efficiency Directive, which is a key part of the Fit for 55 package, where there will be also a guidance for how to apply energy efficiency. So energy efficiency first principle is a guiding principle that European energy policy keep in mind for the energy transition. Now it has to be translated into the more operational, let's say, guidelines to know how to apply this principle to investments, to strategic planning, to policy. And this will be the role of guidelines that the Commission will issue together with the package, with the revision of the directive. Maybe the next slide, I will now give you another important element of the policy general context, which is the green recovery. As you all know, the Europe and the world in general is recovering after the post-COVID economic downturn. And for this, the European Union has put an unprecedented public support budget from the European budget that in total will count to 1.8 trillion euro, Next Generation EU funds plus new MFF. And 30% of this huge astronomical figure will be dedicated to climate action, so around 550 billion euro in next 7 years will be dedicated to climate actions. And this is indeed a totally unprecedented level. And it doubles the resources dedicated to climate action comparing to the previous period. Within this framework, the main EU facility that will support green recovery in the next years is the Recovery and Resilience Facility, which will make available to member states a total of 672 billion euro in grants and loans. Maybe in the next slide, you will see that we have a landscape of different support instruments, because indeed the public funds, European funds, will not be enough, even though they are at unprecedented level now. They will not be sufficient to reach 55 decarbonization target and decarbonization target for 2050. And that's why we need a whole range of support instruments and frameworks to trigger private investments for achieving climate neutrality objectives. And the European Union is supporting private and public investments in clean energy through a range of instruments that are classified on this slide. Direct investments are co-funded by traditionally regional funds like cohesion policy funds, ERDF, ESF, and also new sources of funding like the recovery funds or just transition fund. Then the private investments are triggered by lending and blending operation of the EIB that now will be under the common umbrella of InvestEU. InvestEU gathers financial instruments as well as technical assistance that are dedicated also to the transition to climate neutrality. The next category is the support to research innovation, which is precisely the subject of our discussion today. So the European program for support for research and innovation is provided to Horizon Europe. And here cluster 5 dedicated to climate, energy and mobility, and destination 4 specifically to efficient and sustainable energy end use. Finally, I wanted to mention the LIFE program, where there will be also focus on clean energy with a specific dedicated sub-program to clean energy transition that will address market barriers, that will create the right market and regulatory conditions to accelerate the transition that is demand-driven, that is focused on the demand side and efficiency of the end use. So maybe in the next slide, I think that with this, I already finished the presentation of the general policy context, everything that I would like to highlight to you. And now I wish to just give you the architecture of Cluster 5 and explain how the Destination 4 is positioned there. So as you can see, the thematic scope of Cluster 5 has been divided into 6 destinations, where the funding priorities have been grouped around the specific challenges that they address. And there we have the Destination 1, which is dedicated to climate science. Destination 2 dedicated to cross-cutting challenges and solutions for achieving climate neutrality, where there are specific thematic sub-areas on batteries, cities, breakthrough technologies, and citizen engagement. Destination 3, dedicated to sustainable, secure, and competitive energy supply, with 4 thematic sub-areas: renewable energy, energy system, grids and storage, carbon capture and storage, and carbon capture utilization and storage, and cross-cutting activities. And then destination 4, which we are discussing today now, efficient and sustainable, inclusive energy use, with 2 thematic sub-areas, which I mentioned already, one on buildings, so highly energy efficient and climate neutral EU building stock, and the second area on industry, of which the official title is Industrial Facilities in the Energy Transition, and this one will be presented by my colleague Eric. Then we have destination 5, focusing on clean and competitive solutions for all transport modes, and destination 6 on safe, resilient transport and smart mobility services for passengers and goods. The next slide is maybe the one on which I will not stop too long, because I presume you will be given the slides after the session. You will be able to analyze them, and this one is quite boring, showing only the figures, but of course the figures are very exciting because this is about the budget. Still, I will not stop longer here, and I'll let you analyze it later. Maybe the next slide, where I would like to focus on the specific context of the sub-area on highly energy efficient and climate neutral building stock. Please move forward. I would like to recall that the Commission issued last year the strategic communication on Renovation Wave that was adopted in mid-October, and that contains also an action plan for the years to come, calling for a concerted action at all governance levels with the objective of boost buildings renovation for climate neutrality, better quality of life, and economic recovery. Maybe the next slide. Based on the action plan that was included in the Renovation Wave strategy and the actions that were foreseen at EU level there, part of these actions that are related to energy policies will be translated through the revision of the energy efficiency and energy performance of buildings directives. And I would like to highlight some key actions that are under assessment under the revision of Energy Performance of Buildings Directive. This one will come a little bit later this year. So by the end of the year, we should have in the second batch, let's say, of Fit for 55 package, the EPBD will be revised. And what might be proposed there is introduction of mandatory minimum energy performance standards for the existing buildings. So for the buildings that are newly constructed, we have already the standard introduced by the EPBD at the level of nearly zero energy consumption. However, now under the assessment, there is the possibility of progressed stage introduction of such an obligation for the existing buildings, and this will be a very strong legal indeed obligation that will certainly have a strong effort on increasing the renovation of buildings in Europe. Other proposals or other options that are under the assessment are such measures like introduction of buildings innovation. There is also the possibility to define further in detail the deep renovation standard, because deep renovation so far in the directive is defined broadly as achieving 60% of energy savings. And this could be possibly further specified based on specific measures that can, for example, be taken to classify as a deep renovation, or the end objective, which is climate neutrality of the building, and how far from this objective the building is situated in a given moment. So having this focus on what will be legislation in relation to buildings, I would like maybe now to move to more research innovation context and broader context. If you could please move to the next slide. This one is introducing the new European Bauhaus policy initiative that you certainly heard about. Sorry, that was the previous one. If you could move back. So new European Bauhaus is a think to do tank, as we define it, aiming to develop a creative interdisciplinary movement at the crossroad between art, culture, science, and objective of sustainability. The aim is indeed to create a design movement that is integrated these three dimensions: sustainability on the one hand, including circularity, quality of experience, including aesthetics, and also inclusion, including affordability. I'm still on the slide that is before, but okay, doesn't matter. The new European Bauhaus will unfold in three phases: design, delivery, and dissemination. And we are now approaching the end of the design phase, and the delivery will be introduced by the pilot projects that you probably heard about. The 5 pilot demonstrations are foreseen in 5 places in Europe, and then the dissemination phase will focus on indeed scaling up these innovative and new ideas, creative ideas, and making sure that they are replicated across cities, rural areas, localities, to inspire a new generation of architects and designers. Okay, and now the last slide that I would like to present today is about Build for People partnership that is very much in the spirit of new European Bauhaus, and of which part of the topics will be belonging in terms of implementation. Those topics are broader in scope. They are focusing in a truly cross-cutting manner on different challenges that we can meet in the built environment. The overall objective is to move towards sustainability and better living, but taking into account all the constraints and all the policy priorities that are necessary to make our buildings a better place for live. Sustainability, we are talking about reducing resource intensity, increasing recyclability, but also duly taking into consideration European cultural heritage, the quality of architecture, as well as accessibility, inclusiveness of our buildings, accessibility for persons with disabilities, building safety, of course, and a variety of different aspects. So in this spirit, the Commission proposed a cooperation within the framework of a partnership, research and innovation partnership with the private sector. Very recently, on the 23rd of June, there was the Memorandum of Understanding signed between the private sector and the industry with the objective of 7 years cooperation under Horizon Europe in order to bring the objectives between the private and public sector together and achieve substantial change indeed, and long-lasting impacts in this area. So this is everything I wanted to present you, and I will now pass the floor to Eric Lecomte, who will continue with the focus on industry. Thank you.
Yes, good morning, everyone. So thank you, Margot, for this nice introduction of the overall Green Deal context. And so for industry, you can move to the next slide, please. Yes, so that one. So we don't have so many topics in this work program, cluster 5, because as you know, there is a dedicated cluster for industry, digital and space, which has the bulk of research innovation for industry. But here, indeed, we focus on energy efficiency in industry. So the green transition in industry, which is about efficiency, but also inclusion of more renewables. And as you know, the integration of more renewables, which are variable in time, creates some problems of stability. And so next slides. So that's why we go to a strategy of energy system integration, in that there will be much more interactions between the sectors and the energy system. And in the sectors, we will have a higher level of electrification. So electrification in buildings, heating, in transport, but also in industry. But because industry will consume more electricity, it will also have to contribute to the stability of the electricity grid through demand response, through storage capabilities. And so also going to hydrogen as an energy vector that can be produced when there is an abundance of renewables, and that can be used by industry or other sectors, or even stored to indeed contribute to the stability of the energy system on a daily basis, on a monthly basis, on a seasonal basis. And so next slide, please. So coming to the work program, as I said, the bulk is in cluster 4. We have only 2 topics in 2021. And so the first one addresses the recovery of industrial waste heat in industry, and especially the upgrade of this waste heat to higher temperature by means of heat pumps. And indeed, not only waste heat, but also ambient heat or even solar heat can be integrated. And then the second topic is also about waste heat recovery, but then to recover that waste heat and convert it back to electricity. And in this case, using organic Rankine cycles, as supercritical CO2 cycles were addressed in the last call of Horizon 2020. And about the approach, these technologies have already a level of maturity that is sufficient for now to really demonstrate their technical feasibility in industrial environment. And then also by testing them, also assessing their economic viability, testing business models. So that's the idea of the work program for this year. But you will have more details in the recordings, and so I will not take more of your time. And thank you. And I will be ready to answer questions that you would have after the recordings. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Eric, for this introduction to the policy context specific on industry transition to sustainability and decarbonization. And now I would like to introduce the presentations of the specific topics that you are certainly very interested in. And while these topics will be presented by the colleagues from CINEA C2 unit, you have the opportunity to ask questions for clarification on the topic text or whichever questions you would have via the Slido, as we already said. So Now I would leave the organizers to upload the presentation, the video recordings, and as said, the topics will be presented by colleagues from CINEA C2. So this is the unit that will be implementing this part of the call of Cluster 5. Thank you.
Project manager in the Horizon Europe Energy Unit of the European Climate, Infrastructure and Environment Executive Agency. And together with my colleagues of the energy efficiency sector of that unit, we'll introduce you to the 2021 topics of Destination 4 of Cluster 5. Starting with a short overview of the destination. So this destination addresses activities targeting the energy demand side, notably a more efficient use of energy as regards buildings and industry. The motivation for introducing this destination lies in the fact that demand-side solutions and improved energy efficiency are among the most cost-effective ways to support the transition to climate neutrality, to reduce pollution and raw materials use while generating economic benefits. The destination has also been designed to support the transition to a decentralized and climate-neutral energy system, ensuring buildings and industrial facilities become interactive elements in the energy system, and to support the development of new business opportunities and revenue streams for innovative energy services. This destination contributes to several key strategic orientations in relation to digitalization, circular economy, and climate neutrality. It also covers several impact areas in relation to industrial leadership, affordable and clean energy, circular and clean economy. The main expected impact is to contribute to an efficient and sustainable use of energy, accessible for all, through a clean energy system and a just transition. To this end, and in synergies with other clusters, the destination targets two areas of action. The first one is technological and socio-economic breakthrough for achieving climate neutrality and the transition to zero pollution of the building stock by 2050, based on an inclusive and people-centric research and innovation. And the second one is increased energy efficiency in industry and reducing industry's greenhouse gas and air pollutant emissions through the recovery, upgrade, and conversion of industrial waste heat and electrification of heat generation. We will now start with the first area of the destination, which addresses topics in relation to a highly energy efficient and climate neutral EU building stock. This area has strong connections with some key policy initiatives. The main one is the Renovation Wave strategy, part of the Green Deal. The Renovation Wave sets the momentum in public policies and funding support for the transformation of the EU building stocks towards climate neutrality in 2050. Another key initiative is the new European Bauhaus, which aims to ensure that sustainable built environment goes beyond merely improving the energy and resource efficiency of buildings, but also includes a qualitative, aesthetic, and human dimension. In particular, the renovation or adaptive reuse of historical and heritage buildings and sites needs to embrace quality principles to safeguard the cultural values of Europe's historical environment and local architectural identity. So with these overarching initiatives in mind, this area of the destination addresses two main challenges, which are the energy challenge in buildings and more broadly, the transformation of the built environment towards more sustainable living. The first challenge, which targets energy efficiency in buildings, seeks to achieve the following impacts: a more energy efficient building stocks, supported by an accurate understanding of buildings performance in Europe and of related evolutions, and also building stocks that effectively combine energy efficiency, renewable energy sources, and digital and smart technologies to support the transformation of the energy system towards climate neutrality. The second challenge, which addresses the broader transformation of the built environment, builds on a co-programmed European partnership on people-centric sustainable built environments that is called Built for People. It targets the following impacts: higher buildings performance with lower environmental impacts through increased rates of holistic renovations, and higher quality and more affordable built environments, preserving climate and environment, and safeguarding cultural heritage and ensuring better living conditions. In this presentation, we will outline the 6 topics of this area on the building stock that will be funded in 2021 in 2 calls, one that opens on 24 June 2021 and one that will open on 2 September 2021. We'll then address the second area of the destination about industry and related topics. I wish now to give the floor to my colleague Olaf, who will present the first 2021 topic of the area on the building stock.
Hello, I am Olaf Lax and I am project manager within the CINEA Horizon Europe energy efficiency sector. And my presentation will guide you through the scope, the expected outcomes, and some general specifications of the CAL topic on advanced energy performance assessment and certification. The scope of the CAL topic requires that the next generation of energy performance assessment and certification schemes support the transition towards a climate neutral building stock over the full life cycle. For that aim, they need to rely on technological innovations to improve the speed and the quality of as-built performance assessment and service life compliance checks, also linking to other instruments such as building logbooks, building renovation roadmaps, levels, and other data sets. Where relevant, energy performance assessment and certification schemes should seek to work coherently with other performance data generated over the building's life cycle. In line with this scope, the proposal should develop more reliable, cost-effective, and highly replicable energy performance calculation methods, also addressing in parallel relevant life cycle performance aspects such as well-being, indoor air quality and comfort, acoustics, water consumption, resilience, or whole life carbon, and this with a direct link to the energy efficiency performance. Proposals should also address the definition and demonstration of advanced and innovative approaches for building energy performance and certification, and how these can interact with other relevant life cycle performance data and certification. For that aim, proposals should focus on a credible assessment of building intrinsic performance, but also increasingly working towards output-based assessments using available data. Proposals should also investigate how such approaches can rely on automatic and semi-automatic assessment based on building digital models, e.g. BIM, and incorporate in those approaches social and economic indicators. Proposals should develop dynamic energy and other relevant lifecycle performance assessment and certification databases as a unique source of information on individual buildings over their lifetime for homeowners, investors, real estate agents, and public authorities. Proposals should also demonstrate how data from smart sensors can be included in assessments in a dynamic way, also exploring where relevant, how to combine building asset rating with building operational rating, and how to use digital innovations for the assessment of energy and other relevant lifecycle performance. Proposals should ensure that the proposed solutions build on the results of previous projects dealing with building performance, including energy performance certificates, and where relevant, integrating building renovation passports or roadmaps in EPCs. Proposals should ensure that the proposed solutions allow for synergies with other instruments such as smart readiness indicator, building renovation passports, and relevant parts of levels. Proposals should seek to ensure from the design phase that the project is developed with a view to integrate its results and deliverables under a digital building logbook. Proposals should ensure that the proposed solutions comply with and support a broad adoption of relevant EU standards, e.g. energy performance of building standards developed under CEN, CENELEC and ETSI, and codes in order to allow for an EU-wide deployment. And last but not least, proposals should ensure the involvement of relevant stakeholders such as European, national and regional certification bodies and consumer organizations. Clustering and cooperation with other relevant projects is strongly encouraged, and in particular with the Horizon Europe partnership on people-centric sustainable built environment. Proposals should include a clear business case and exploitation strategy, as well as demonstration activities on adequate scale. And this should take into account at least 3 demonstration use cases. Also, this topic requires the effective contribution of social science and humanities, and the involvement of SSH experts, institutions and expertise in order to enhance the societal impact of the related research activities. Next slide, please. The project results are expected to contribute to all of the impacts of the outcomes listed below. So you need to address all of them. That's important to keep this in mind in this topic. This is the improved construction quality and service life compliance, the improved accuracy of energy performance assessment and any other assessment conducted in parallel, reducing the gap between assessment and actual performance, improved automated monitoring of energy performance of buildings and other relevant life cycle performance aspects with direct link to the energy efficiency performance, improved user friendliness of energy performance certificates and post-occupants performance data, increased uptake of design standards and practices based on actual performance, and finally, more reliable understanding of energy and environmental performance in the early stages of the building life cycle and over the service life based on a robust and consistent assessment of practices across the building sector and across member states and associated countries. And then the next slide, please. The type of action is an innovation action, and the activities are expected to reach a TRL level of 6 to 7 by the end of the project. The total indicative budget for this topic is 10 million euro, and the Commission estimates that an EU contribution of 3 to 5 million euro would allow the outcomes to be addressed appropriately. And also please keep in mind that this does not preclude the submission and selection of proposals requesting different amounts. The deadline for submission is 19 October 2021. Thank you very much for your attention, and I will now pass the floor to my colleague Rebecca Canelea.
Thank you. Hello, I'm Rebecca Canelea. I'm also a project manager in the Horizon Europe Energy Unit in SINEA, and this is the presentation of the topic on industrialization of deep renovation workflows for energy efficient buildings. Regarding the scope of this topic, several recent projects and calls have focused on prefabrication for deep renovation. However, more work is needed to innovate seamless workflows from design through to off-site manufacture, installation and compliance checking on site, also ensuring due consideration of life cycle performance. there is also a need for more demonstrations across the EU. Therefore, proposals should investigate innovative approaches for industrialized deep renovation, covering the whole workflow from design through to off-site manufacture, installation, compliance checking on site, and end strategies for maintenance, operation, and end of life. They should make use of innovative processes and technologies, including those delivered by previous research, such as design based on circularity principles, prefabricated components, and digital tools that allow to optimize workflows. And we're talking about cost, time, quality, and resource use. The proposals should develop significantly improved integrated digital twin solutions that can support all stakeholders involved in the different phases of the construction or renovation processes. For example, from concept to end of use, including design, construction, commissioning, operation, management and maintenance, and where relevant, change of use. They should demonstrate a seamless integration of the proposed approaches with state-of-the-art digital technologies for construction and renovation, for example, built-in information modeling, digital twins, etc. The proposals should investigate the use of robotic systems and automation, such as additive manufacturing, on-site automated and robotic systems, for example, robots for building component assembly, drones and autonomous vehicles, like for surveying, inspection and monitoring, and other types of automated support to augment workers' capability and safety, for example, lift robots or exoskeletons, to use for deep renovation. They should investigate the application of the proposed approaches at neighborhood and district level with the aim to maximize synergies in renovation work and processes, decrease costs, and to optimize the use of energy-related shared district resources, for example, heating and cooling networks, renewable energy sources, energy storage facilities, etc. The proposals should select processes and technologies that have a maximum potential for rapid and broad deployment at European level, with due consideration of the sector's practices. They should also ensure effective involvement of the building supply chain, in particular SMEs, as well as of building owners, tenants, and other relevant stakeholders. Where relevant, they should investigate whether and how the proposed approaches could apply to cultural heritage buildings. Proposals should ensure the proposed approaches allow to reach the highest level of energy performance, also considering other relevant aspects like life cycle, accessibility, or others, while keeping costs in an attractive range for owners. They should seek to ensure from the design phase that the project is developed with a view to integrate its results and deliverables under a digital building logbook. Proposals should demonstrate, based on well-defined metrics and key performance indicators, that the innovative approaches proposed lead to fewer mistakes, less waste, higher resource efficiency, higher quality, in particular with regard to energy performance, for example, a reduced performance gap, increased replicability across sites, and other relevant life cycle aspects, enhanced safety of workers and their ability to work alongside robots, and faster construction. The proposals should also investigate business models in view of mass deployment and EU-wide impact, seeking to address the split incentive between the owner and tenant of a building as a barrier to investments. They should lead at least 3 large-scale demonstrations to assess the proposed approaches for a variety of building typologies representative of the European building stock, ensuring the most adequate coverage of climatic conditions. Clustering and cooperation with other relevant projects is strongly encouraged, and in particular, liaison and synergies with the Horizon Europe partnerships on people-centric sustainable built environment and driving urban transitions. Next slide, please. The project results are expected to contribute to some of the following expected outcomes: a significant improvement in productivity of construction and renovation processes for energy-efficient buildings, supporting an increase in scale in the renovation process and streamlining resource-efficient nearly zero energy performance renovation, 30% waste reduction, improved quality of renovation, at least 30% and towards 50% reduction of on-site construction and renovation work time, and 25% costs reduction. They are expected to contribute also, if they can, to more affordable renovation projects for owners for all building types, but with a specific focus on residential buildings. We are looking for an increased trust towards construction and renovation processes by allowing tracking energy performance across the life cycle. We're looking for enhanced quality of construction, backed up by post-occupancy evaluations, also supporting a better integration of design and construction activities, streamlining commissioning of buildings, in particular in relation to energy management, but also taking into account cross-cutting issues such as the accessibility of buildings. We look for a reduced performance gap between as-built and as-designed, allowing tracking performance across the life cycle. We also look for an upskilled workforce for industrialized renovation workflows, including automated and robotized construction and renovation, relying on interoperable digital modeling data, enhanced safety of the construction workforce, and increased acceptance of robotic support for deep renovation. Innovative, tailored business models for deep renovation, allowing increased scale of renovation, generating economies of scale, and increasing the potential for attractive and affordable packages for end users, including financing. Tailored access to building information across the life cycle for relevant stakeholders, such as owners, facility managers, contractors, and public authorities. Integration with distributed renewable energy sources in neighborhoods and districts, favoring the emergence of related initiatives, for example, renewable energy communities. And last but not least, enhanced synergies of renovation with local resources, such as district heating and cooling networks. Of course, as a reminder, the topic text in the work program always prevails. Next slide, please. This is an innovation action, and activities are expected to achieve a TRL 8 by the end of the project. The total indicative budget for this topic is 16 million, and the Commission estimates that an EU contribution of between 5 and 8 million would allow the expected outcomes to be addressed appropriately, without, though, precluding submission and selection of a proposal requesting different amounts. The deadline for this topic, finally, is the 19th of October 2021. Thank you for watching this presentation. I will now give the floor to my colleague Stavros Stamatukos, who will present the next topic.
Thanks a lot, Rebecca. Hello, everyone. I will present a topic on advanced data-driven monitoring of building stock energy performance, part of this work program. So the overall challenge is the data that the buildings are producing at an increasing number, either on the generation or on demand side. These are data coming from smart meters, building management systems, etc. Despite of that, the evaluation of the EPBD stated very clearly that there is still lack of reliable and consistent data on buildings. Collecting and making available reliable data on buildings is a key challenge for the decarbonization of the building stock. More and better data can have an important impact in several levels of the value chain. For example, on the consumer side, data can empower consumers by giving them access to information and offering opportunities. On the operator, network operator side, data can optimize the management of the energy system. On the market side, data can support the creation of innovative energy services, new business models, and financing schemes. And finally, on the policy side, data can help monitor the implementation of different measures and assess the actual effect of energy efficiency policies. Most importantly, the collection and analysis of building data through data analytics tools can produce statistics, business intelligence, and predictive models that will enable reliable and effective policymaking. So coming to this topic, most importantly in the scope of the topic is to enhance the collection and quality of energy and non-energy related data for buildings from as many sources as possible. Proposals are expected to explore approaches to integrate dynamic data coming from buildings, for example, sensors, IoT devices, and smart meters, together with static data sets that are sitting in various data spaces, for example, the energy performance certification data sets, as well as statistical data and other type of data, for example, data from surveys, from users, etc. So the proposed approaches should build on interoperability and cloud-based solutions that allow for seamless collection and use of data from the building, systems, and subsystems. Development of new and enhancement of existing open source data analytics dashboards is also in the scope of this topic. in the scope of this topic is also the design of new and integration of existing digital simulation and digital twinning tools, as well as open data sharing platforms. In all the above examples, proposals should aim for interoperable solutions able to interact between the building and the grid management system. Proposals are expected to contribute to the development of open access and standardized European building data repositories and support existing initiatives at the EU level, such as the EU Building Stock Observatory. Finally, it is expected that proposals will demonstrate smart energy services with business potential, valorizing building performance data. If we can go to the next slide, please. These are the expected outcomes from the projects in this topic. So the projects are expected to contribute to more robust, improved and consistent monitoring of energy performance of buildings across Europe. It is also expected that proposal will facilitate planning of building infrastructure, the mobility infrastructure, such as electric vehicles charging stations, as well as better investment decision making. An outcome of this project is the successfully tested smart energy services, which are built on high quality building data. And finally, proposals should aim to develop methods that facilitate collection of data from building stock and improve the availability of big data and big data analysis facilities for real-life scale research, simulation, and policy making. Go to the next slide, please. So this is an innovation, the projects here are innovation actions with an expected TRL at the end of the project 8. So it's a high TRL, very close to the market, and the indicative budget of the topic is 10 million euro, and an EU contribution between 3 and 5 million euro would allow the outcomes to be addressed appropriately. The deadline for this topic is 19th of October 2021. And if we can move on to the next topic, this is the topic related to performance guarantees. The full title is Demonstrating Integrated Technology Solution for Buildings with Performance Guarantees. This is a topic about the untapped potential in different sectors and actors not engaged in energy services, triggering energy savings, CO2 savings, and cost savings. At the same time, new technologies are available, such as monitoring systems and big data facilities related to the previous topic, that facilitate the deployment of services to monitor energy performance of buildings. So the scope of this topic is to design and demonstrate innovative integrated technology solution for cost-effective performance enhancement with performance guarantees. A second element of the scope is to investigate the viability of performance-based business models and test them with the relevant market players, for example, energy suppliers, product manufacturers, technology and service providers. Proposals are also expected to develop business models and performance contracts that work with industrialized solutions for innovations in the residential sector, valorizing energy performance, energy flexibility, and comfort. Proposals should build on existing business approaches that have shown effectiveness for innovation, such as one-stop shops and energy services companies, ESCOs. Finally, the proposed business models are expected to make use of digital tools, for example, energy management systems and digital logbooks, in order to increase data availability for measurement and verification, and therefore facilitate performance monitoring. Next slide, please. The expected results of the projects should deliver integrated technology solutions for performance guarantees and performance-based contracts to increase buildings' energy performance. The challenge is to contribute to enhanced consumer awareness and trust in performance guarantees and related contracts. Overall, in the end of the projects, an increased number of market actors, especially SMEs, should be in the position to offer performance guarantees, performance-based business models. Next slide, please. This topic implements the European Partnership on People-Centric Sustainable Built Environment, so Built for People. And the projects here should aim to achieve a TRL 6 to 7. The total indicative budget for the topic is 15 million. And the Commission estimates that an EU contribution between 5 and 7.5 million would allow outcomes to be addressed appropriately. The deadline for this topic is 25th January 2022. That was all for these two topics. Thank you very much, and I will pass on to my colleague Christoph Marx.
Good afternoon to everybody. This topic is an innovation action. The topic is also linked to the co-programmed European Partnership on People-Centric Sustainable Built Environment. The scope of this topic covers holistic renovation solutions for an increased scale and productivity in the renovation process by demonstrating and quantifying reduction of on-site construction time and overall renovation work time. We're also looking for improved building performance with regards to insulation, airtightness, indoor environment, user comfort and satisfaction, accessibility, affordability, attractiveness for building owners and users, as well as lifetime energy, carbon and air pollutants reductions. So it's quite comprehensive what we're looking for in these solutions. We're also looking for increased deployment of built-in solutions for on-site renewable energy generation, and also an increased share of reused, recycled or biosourced construction materials or products to contribute to a circular economy and support the uptake through EU-wide standards or certification. Next slide, please. Projects should have the following key outcomes. We're looking for developed renovation solutions for a range of needs, ranging from renovations which are limited in scope to deep renovations. They should not require significant modifications of the building structure. We are also looking for scalable, passive as well as active renovation solutions to improve the energy performance of buildings and allow energy transfer. They should be applicable to different building types based on prefabricated components and support the integration of local sources of reused components and secondary raw materials, relying where relevant on urban mining. Performance of these solutions needs to be evidenced, and therefore projects should develop novel testing methodologies. They should model and test in actual scale the materials and components selected. We are also looking for benchmarking and monitoring of the energy and environmental performance at real scale, and to demonstrate the cost effectiveness of these renovation solutions over their lifetime. And where relevant, projects should contribute to standardization and certification activities. Regarding the actual performance of solutions, we would expect projects to assess the risks and building resilience related to, for example, flooding, heat waves, earthquakes in the solution's target area. They should demonstrate that the proposed solutions lead to the promised performance improvements. They should consider integrating renewable energy sources for buildings with respect to the aesthetic, the historical value or the local architectural identity. And finally, these projects should involve at least 3 large-scale demonstrations of the solutions in diverse geographical areas, addressing both residential and non-residential buildings. Next slide, please. The expected technology readiness level of the developed solution is 7. The overall indicative budget is 22 million euros, and the indicative budget per project is 9 to 11 million to address this topic, although other budgets can also be proposed. The deadline is the 25th of January 2022. And now I'm giving back to my colleague, Sylvain Robert. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Christoph. We'll now introduce the topic called Strengthening European Coordination and Exchange for Innovation Uptake towards Sustainability, Quality, Circularity and Social Inclusion in the Built Environment as a contribution to the new European Bauhaus. Under this topic, the proposals should develop business models for co-financing options that foster innovation. They should support creation and operation of innovation clusters linked to the Build for People partnership, also linking to regional, national innovation hubs and clusters, and to pilot projects of the new European Bauhaus. Proposals should offer research and innovation support to all actors of the European built environment ecosystem, in particular for smaller companies. They should set up a multidisciplinary network structure along with an appropriate governance to focus and nurture public investments in several regions of Europe. They should lead a broad range of dissemination actions. They should seek to cooperate with other coordination actions designed to support the new European Bauhaus. And this is important in this topic, they should cooperate closely with the leading partners of the Build for People partnership. The general aim is to contribute to strengthening coordination of EU innovation action in the built environment sector, to increase uptake of innovation and support the transition of the sector to enhanced sustainability, quality, circularity, and social inclusion. The topic features a strong link with and aims to contribute to the new European Bauhaus. And in a nutshell, the action funded will contribute to the following outcomes in the built environment sector. Increased uptake of innovative solutions in line with the topic priority, intensified cross-sectorial and interdisciplinary peer learning, increased awareness on benefits from technological and non-technological innovation and cross-border cooperation. In line with the new European Bauhaus, better acknowledgement and integration of quality architecture innovative solutions, including for cultural heritage, compliance with the principles of circular economy and due consideration of relevant aspects such as style, human-centric inclusivity and accessibility, improved visibility, more systematic adoption and uptake of innovative results, strengthened long-lasting and multidisciplinary networking, and scale-up co-financing of innovation. This topic has been designed to support one coordination and support action with €1 million EU funding. The topic is part of those under the destination that contribute to the implementation of the Build for People partnership, and the deadline for submitting proposals will be 25 January 2022. This was the last 2021 topic of the highly energy efficient and climate neutral EU building stock area of Destination 4. And I will now give the floor to my colleague Pao, who will introduce you to the industry topics of the destination. Thank you.
Thank you, Sylvain. Hello, everyone. My name is Pau. I have the pleasure to introduce you to our topics in industrial facilities in the energy transition. Next slide, please. So a little bit introduction to this focus area. The focus here is on thermal energy management in industry, meaning recovery, upgrade, and or conversion of industrial excess or waste heat and through electrification of heat generation. There's a strong reminder here, the bulk of research and innovation activities related to industry is, however, supported under Cluster 4, Digital Industry and Space. There are a large number of topics there for industry. So if you are one of these stakeholders, you better also check out that part of the Horizon Europe work program. And we have two topics here in this Cluster 5 Destination 4, the topic 4 and 5, focusing on energy efficiency in industry. Both opening 24th June this year and deadline 19th of October 2021. Next slide, please. This is the topic 4, full-scale demonstration of heat upgrade technologies with supply temperature range in the range of between 90 and 160 degrees. The scope here is, I try to put together the most important bullet points. So the scope is identifying the target industrial processes which would benefit from this technology, and assess the impacts of these applications in terms of energy savings and greenhouse gas emissions. And a preliminary assessment and analysis techno-economic feasibility should be done in the proposal already, and this is explicitly said in the topic text. Optimizing the heat upgrade system to improve its economic and technical performances, of course, and of course, long-term full-scale demonstration of the system in an industrial application in at least one of the industrial sectors analyzed. Next slide, please. On the expected outcomes, we want to see in the proposals the full-scale demonstration with an indication of thermal power between 0.5 and 10 megawatts. And we also have some specific requirements for the heat supply between 90 and 160 degrees, as the title says, and this heat should be extracted from renewable heat sources, for example, solar thermal, but it could also be extracted from ambient heat or industrial waste or excess heat, other type. The expected outcome also includes scaling up and improvement of economic and technical performance of the system to cover more industrial processes than the demonstrated. So this is also important. Demonstration of business models and contractual agreements within or with other neighboring plants or heating networks. This is important, identifying the potential regulatory barriers for deployment. And the last but not least, raising the awareness of the challenges and benefits of these solutions of heat upgrade in the relevant industrial sectors. Given the transversal nature of the technology, the potential for transferring these technologies to the building heating sector, including district heating networks, should be assessed and disseminated as well. Next slide, please. So high TRL topic, expected TRLs between 7 and 8. And we have a total budget for this topic of 16 million euro. And we expect that proposals will be requiring around 8 million euro. And the deadline, as I said, it's 19th of October, 2021. Next slide is the topic 5. Industrial excess waste heat to power conversion based on organic Rankine cycles. Here the focus is on these heat to power conversion systems, and the scope we want to see demonstration of system integration and operation in industrial environment at an output power level of at least 2 megawatts. We, of course, we expect that there will be an improvement in cost efficiency compared to existing solutions, because there are a lot of already commercially available solutions in this technology. And optionally, heat storage can be integrated in the system. This is an option. In the scope also, we have development improvement of design tools and components at component and systems levels. This is important because this is also part of the scope in this topic, and very relevant. Technical and economical life cycle assessments of heat to power systems adapted for at least 4 energy intensive industrial sectors. And moreover, we have the evaluation of energy impacts and potential broad deployment of the technologies in the member states and associated countries. And last but not least, dissemination of the technical and economic benefits. Next slide, please. On the expected outcomes, 2 main bullet points here summarized. One is the improved systems based on organic Rankine cycle. but these systems need to achieve these higher power levels, higher cost effectiveness, and wider input temperature range, significantly reduced system size. So all of this needs to be demonstrated, and we expect as an output of the project. And the last bullet point, better awareness of the challenges and benefits of this system based on the organic ranking cycles. Next slide, please. Again, an innovation action, a bit lower TRL than the previous topics, between 6 to 7. And we have a total budget of 14 million euro for this topic. And we expect proposals to request a contribution between 10 and 14 million euros. And the deadline is again the 19th of October, 2021. Thank you very much. That was all. On behalf of all my colleagues, I would like to thank you very much for your attention. We hope it was useful. And I just would like to give you 2 final messages, reminders. One is to consult the funding portal where you have frequently asked questions sections. And soon you will see questions to be uploaded there. And you will continue to see them being uploaded in the next months until the deadline. Second is to attend the Leave Destination 4 question and answer session on Monday, 5th July, as part of Cluster 5 Info Days, where the Commission will address any questions from the audience in live discussion. And that's all. Thank you again for listening, and good luck to everyone.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, hello again, and I hope that after this detailed presentations of the topics, you have a very good knowledge what is inside. Now we can open the floor for the questions that we received via Slido. So let me maybe look at the first question. How the new European Bauhaus is different from Build for People partnership. I think that the question was already answered via chat, but I will just highlight that indeed, as it was answered by my colleague Philip Mosley, the Build for People partnership is a specific initiative that we foreseen under under Horizon Europe. It's a research and innovation focused initiative where the Commission and the industry wish to join forces to co-program the funding priorities and also co-invest in research and innovation for going to the direction of sustainability of buildings. Of course, this is aligned with the scope of the European Bauhaus, but the European Bauhaus is a policy initiative. It's something much broader that is overarching and that will be guiding many other funding initiatives. So funds located under regional and structural funds, funds located under Horizon Europe, under LIFE program, under many other programs, will have also a specific focus on achieving the new European Bauhaus objectives. And because, as said, it's an overall policy initiative. Maybe the next question I can also answer. Build for People was first presented as a broad partnership open to any willing partner stakeholder. We have not heard from it for a while. Well, here the explanation is simple because we indeed, the Commission and 2 co-signing and co-managing partners, which is the World Green Buildings Council Europe and the ECTP, the European Construction and Technology Platform, we worked hard to define the terms, the specific terms of the Memorandum of Understanding, which has been signed, as I mentioned before, on the 23rd of June. And now we'll move to this implementation phase where we will concretize how the governance and how the inclusion of different stakeholders will look like in the partnership, and indeed I confirm that the partnership is broad. It's broader than the construction sector industry. It covers all the private partners that has a stake in a built environment transformation. Represent different challenges like cultural heritage, like accessibility, like sustainability, broadly speaking, recyclability. So we foreseen, but this is not something that we put yet on the paper, that there will be indeed a kind of annual stakeholders forum covering all the interested partners. But the management of the partnership will be indeed co-managed by two partners for the practical reasons, and with them we will do this operational management on a daily basis. So I think that with this I addressed the second question. The third question is on the topic 04. Will simulated replication be valuable enough to assess the adaptability of heat rate? This is a typical question for Eric, and I would kindly ask him to address it, if he could. Thank you, Eric.
Yes, so we have already posted an answer in Slido. So indeed, what we request is the validation and the physical demonstration in one industrial sector environment, so only one, whereas the replication potential in at least 4 industrial sectors can be assessed by other means. So indeed, including simulations, modeling. That's it.
Thank you, Eric. Then maybe I can have a slide of questions back on the screen if I could, or otherwise I will open Slido on my side. So the next question is about high temperature under the topic 05. So maybe you could go on, Eric, with this one.
Yes, indeed. So this is not a topic for this info day because it's topic 2022, but we can answer. So the title doesn't mention high temperature. If I read well, it specifies a temperature range 150 to 250 degrees, which is considered traditionally as medium and above 200 high temperature in industry. Anyway, it's very clear the targeted supply sink temperature is the range 150 to 250 degrees. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. And I think that the next one is for me. Let me check. So the next one would be, can you give examples of effective contribution of SSH disciplines for the topic 0101? So just to recall, the topic 0101 is about energy performance certification and assessment. Well, I will maybe give you a general context of the challenge that we would like to address through this topic from the energy performance and energy efficiency policy perspective. And then maybe one colleague, maybe Philip Mosti, would like to give some more specific examples. The challenge of this topic and the overall challenge is twofold. On the one hand, you would like to do this energy performance certification as a tool more holistic and better linked to the other areas, and linking also to life cycle, to sustainability assessment. So increase the scope and making the linkages with the other areas, while improving its effectiveness using also innovative ways of assessing energy performance in buildings using digital tools. On the other hand, we would like to make it more accessible for people, more understandable. This is the overall challenge that is also addressed through the revision of the directive, and where we would like to have a support from this topic. And that's where we would see the input from the SSH, social science and humanities, very important to get a better understanding how through this tool achieve the effect on the final user to reduce its energy consumption by disclosing the energy consumption in real time, for example, or something like this. But I will let Philip mostly to maybe give a more specific example. Thank you.
Yes, thanks, Marco. Yeah, so if you look at the topic text, there are a few clues in there of where social sciences and humanities might be relevant. In the expected outcomes, there's one on improved user friendliness of the data. And then in the scope, there's mention of incorporating approaches in social and economic indicators. And then there's also among the various people who might use the outputs or the assessment data, it includes homeowners. So I think that should give you enough clues about where you could maybe insert some of those questions. Thanks.
Thank you, Philip. So now back to the questions, and I think we had one specific logistical question. I would say whether the presentations will be available, and yes, we can confirm that they will be available on the InfoDays website soon after we finish the session. Then. May I see it will be much easier if I can see the questions, please, on the screen, but okay, otherwise I will open them. The next one is about co-funding rate, and maybe I would invite my colleagues from DG Research, as this is typically a question about the specific rules and procedures, or if they are not available, I can also address this one. So the question is, why is there a difference of EU funding rate between B4P topics, 60%, and innovation action, 70% of the rest of destination 4? So maybe Olga or Piero, if you are connected, could you please take it? If not, I can actually answer you. This is the way also how the Commission will try to increase the involvement of industry and also their financial contribution and co-investments in somehow direct co-investments in the challenges that are addressed under the partnership. So indeed, the topics that are being implemented under the partnership were defined in agreement with the industrial sector. We aligned our views in somehow together with industry and the partners that are participating in the partnership. And that's why the Commission expects that there will be a higher involvement also financially in these topics from the private side. And that's why there is a lower co-financing rate. And this is valid for all the partnerships. So whichever topic in the work program you will see that will be implemented through a partnership with industry, you will see that the innovation action will have a lower funding rate, not 70%, which is a general funding rate for the topics implemented through innovation actions, but lower, which is a 60%. Well, of course, the Commission will evaluate this later, and we'll see how does it impact also such a measure the successfulness of a topic, but we consider that this is indeed an important to have a kind of distinction between the approach that is taken for the overall challenge and the one that is specifically defined together with the industry under the partnership.
Indeed, and of course, let us stress that this applies to to all the partnership, to all the co-program partnerships under Horizon Europe. So there are 11 of those co-program European partnership, and this approach to have a reduced funding rate of 60% applies to across the board to all these 11 co-program European partnerships.
Thank you very much, Piero. Indeed, thank you for confirming this. This is important to highlight that it's not specific for buildings and build for people, but overall across all the program, this rule applies. The next question: how does the LIFE program complement Destination 4? I can start, and I would maybe give also the floor to our colleague from the Environment, Josefina. Regarding the specific sub-program on clean energy transition, I would only like to say that we try to develop this sub-program in a very complementary manner to Destination 4, and the funding opportunities will complement on the actions on the market side, structuring the market and removing market barriers, building the skills of the market participants. For these innovations that will be hopefully developed within Destination 4 of Cluster 5, to be easily scaled up and taken up by the market. But of course, other parts of the LIFE program will be also very much complementary. And I think that here, Josefina can say something about the environmental sub-program of LIFE and how it will be complementary. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Just to say, of course, following up on what Marco said, that as many of you already know, the LIFE program is not funding research. So it is funding other kinds of activities when it comes to innovation and bringing things to market. So indeed, what comes out of some of those research projects could then be potentially picked up in the LIFE program. So that's the biggest difference, really. It's about demonstration and skills and awareness and all kinds of other aspects which are needed to bring an innovation further on. Indeed, the first LIFE call this year is supposed to be launched in July, so this month. So it is coming up quite soon, and it has a number of different areas which it covers. So also, as Michael said, in relation beyond energy, it is also about circularity, quality of life, biodiversity, etc. So there is indeed a useful overlap in the sense that they bring in similar topics or related topics, but following up after research. So I think that's enough here.
Great, thank you very much, Josefina. And I think that the next question is also from your area, but I think it refers to the topic that is under industry. So I will give the floor to Eric first, and then if you would like to complement, because it's about circularity. So the question is exactly about the topic 04, which is on industrial facilities. Which level of synergy is expected with Hub for Circularity? Is that mandatory? Eric, could you please address this?
Yes, indeed, and the answer is posted in Slido. So the topic reference is to the Hubs for Circularity approach, meaning that the project should build on the publicly available experience from Hubs for Circularity, and more generally from projects about industrial symbiosis from the previous work program, Horizon 2020, by the way. And so more specifically, and this is then specified in the text further, the expected synergy with Horizon Europe, private-public partnership, and so, for example, Processes for Planet, that is implementing these hubs for circularity, concerns the dissemination of project results meaning that those partnerships organize workshops for their partners, and it is agreed that together with Cluster 4, which is organizing these partnership processes for Planet, that the projects from Cluster 5, addressing industry would also be welcome to disseminate their results in the workshops organized by the partnership of Cluster 4. That's it from my side.
Eric, I think that the upcoming questions are also for you. So if you could please address it, if you wish, I can answer. I can read them. So the one on demo of business models, it's referring to topic 04. Do you see the question? Or
I see. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
So let me go back to 04 is the topic.
What does the demonstration mean?
On heat pumps. Yeah.
I think that here it's a question about how does it look like a demonstration that is not purely technology demonstration, but kind of business related, because in the topic text, it's about demo of business models and contractual arrangements. I would guess
Indeed.
It's about
So yes, indeed, concerning the industrial symbiosis, and in this case, we are talking about heat pumps. And so it means that those heat pumps could use heat coming from another plant and transport it to the local process. And so in that case, a business model, contractual agreements to pay for that heat that is supplied by another plant to the local plant. This is also something that we are interested in. So that's indeed really the topic of industrial symbiosis between not only within the plant, but across plants, and so with contractual agreements.
excellent. Thank you very much, Eric. And I think that we finished with the questions. Did we? Or Paul, do you see any other questions upcoming to be answered?
There's one more for Eric, the last one. Let's see.
Okay. What? No, this one was answered. Sorry, I don't see the.
Would it be about the replication? But that one has disappeared.
Yeah.
But there was a question.
Yeah, I think it's. I don't see any more questions. Yeah. So.
Okay.
Thank you.
It means that we answered it in the meantime. Okay. Thank you very much for your active participation. I think that if we don't have any more questions, in any case, you saw our faces and you know our names. If you have questions to the specific provisions of the call text, you can always contact us in different DGs, but also in the SINEA agency that will be implementing the call. And I hope that it was useful. As said, the presentations will be available on the website of InfoDays. And I would like now to sincerely thank to all my colleagues who joined the session and who participated in the organization of this session. That was really, and I wish to all of you a good continuation of InfoDays. Thank you for your participation.